Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 170 of the Terminal City FC podcast, part of the Air 51 Sports Network. Josh Ray joined alongside Nathan Durk as per usual, broadcasting live on Terminal City FC's YouTube channel page and the Area 51 Sports Network Twitter. And also, shout out to those listening as the podcast on whatever streaming platform you have for podcasts. So, hope you're all still riding high. Maybe hopefully not too hungover from Canada's win over the United States last night in the Four Nations tournament. But another event happened last night, and that was the Vancouver Whitecaps season getting underway down in San Jose, Costa Rica against Saprissa. And good start, but it ended in a really disappointing fashion and ended up losing 2-1.
Yeah, I was only able to watch the first half of this game. Family commitments took me away for the second half. What I saw in the first half, I saw a team that was a little bit rough. I mean, it's their first competitive match. They're coming out of preseason, and they haven't even played a preseason game in over a week, almost a week and a half too. Yeah. But I saw a structure. I saw a defined philosophy and understanding of roles. I just didn't see the connectivity between players as much as I would want to. But for where they are in the season, that first 45 minutes looked okay.
Yeah, you could tell there was rust. The rust was expected because first game of the season under a new head coach, new philosophy, and Saprissa has already played 9 league games already, so they're more in form.
Now, Saprissa was off a bit of a losing streak too, so I mean, there was a hope that something could be done there, but
Yeah, you saw Jesper Sorensen's possession-based system early on.
Very possession-based.
It's strange seeing that the Whitecaps hold the ball like that because under Vanni Sartini, that was almost never the case. And the way they moved it looked pretty decent. Final third play, though, players were not getting in and on the end of the crosses or passes. Yeah. But there's also one player we should shout out for his role in the buildup, JC Ngando.
Best player on the pitch, at least for that first 45, what I saw.
Best player on the pitch the whole match for the Whitecaps, even though he came off in the 55th minute.
Yeah, I was very impressed. It was nice to see someone with such progressive passes in the midfield, like long progressive passes. We're talking about killer balls that were cutting in between lines, which is not something we're accustomed to. We're used to the short little build up play where passes are really not much longer than 8-10 yards. He really moved the ball, and I thought he played really well when he was paired along when he was playing midfield along the same side as Ali Ahmed. He was able to find Ahmed's runs. We can talk about Ahmed also playing more higher up the pitch this year, at least in this game as a winger. But I thought those two connected very well. And it was the two of them that connected, which eventually led to Ryan Gauld's goal.
Yeah, Ngando gets the secondary assist, the hockey assist, for his pass to Ahmed, who made a nice run down the wing. And then Brian White made some space. And then Ryan Gauld, perfect shot past the Saprissa goalkeeper. Just a really well-taken, nice build-up goal.
Put it across as the goalkeeper caught him going the wrong way. Goalkeeper did recover, got a hand on it, but not enough to take it out. Basically, fingers to redirect it into the corner. Very, very well taken. Not a hard shot, but a well-placed shot.
Yeah, and Ali Ahmed, Sorensen wants him to play as a winger this year, it looks like. And he looks like there's more comfort, more freedom for him to run around, make use of his ability to win duels. Because last year he was playing a wingback.
Yeah, not only duels, but how he is in 1v1s. And I find that he is a lot better when he is the aggressor in 1v1s and not the defender, right?
Yeah.
He is such a tricky guy to get a hold of, right? Because his body position is so unique compared to others when they're on the ball. Every time I watch Ahmed, when he has the ball, I feel like he's a half a step away from face planting.
Yeah.
And as someone defending him, you don't quite know which way he's going to go. So it works for him. He knows what he's doing. He understands how his body works. And I think it's just a little subtle tweak to try and get the best out of him. I liked what I saw. It's early on. I hope he keeps going from here.
Yeah, and I hope this is just the start of more development in his game.
Yeah.
And he takes advantage of that freedom.
Second half, I was not able to watch.
The second half, they just turned off.
Yeah. Now, did Saprissa make any changes at the half, or what was it? I
believe
because Saprissa, I mean, it was one of the weirdest things is, and they talked about it during the buildup of the game, is that their starting 11 had 6 center backs.
Yeah. Hey, Kendall Waston, former
Whitecaps, was playing as a 9.
He was playing as the 9 to start the game, which is absolutely crazy.
It was really, really, and apparently this is something that Saprissa does, where they do repurpose center backs higher up the pitch. I was talking when I was out last night. I was talking with another guy on hockey terms, and I was like, the only thing I can kind of relate this to is what was it? Winnipeg used to do with Bufflin, defender that they used to plant in front of the opposing net. I was like, that looks like Waston to me right now.
Same with San Jose Sharks making Brent Burns a forward.
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely, right.
Right. And second half, I didn't build on Ryan Gauld's goal, and Saprissa did come alive in the final 10 minutes of the first half, but more poor final third play. There's a chance where Brian White was not expecting the header. I mean, not the header, the cross from Adekube, I believe. And
is that the one that went right? I was watching the highlights. That it went not only by White, but it passed right by Vite as well.
Yeah, I think it was that one.
Yeah.
And then there was a header, Laborda was given so much room, but he missed the header by an inch.
The corner.
Yeah, that corner.
Oh, I know, right? I got to say, Saprissa's first goal, what a shot. That was from 20, 25 yards out?
Yeah, the shot from Torres. Sure, you could argue the Whitecaps shouldn't have let that build-up happen, but that was just
I know Berhalter tried to get a foot in there, at least from the highlights that I saw, but I mean, just one hell of a shot.
Yeah, but the Whitecaps did have the away goal, which still is a thing in this tournament.
Yeah,
and it looked like Sorensen was trying to preserve energy for not just a second leg, but Portland this weekend. So he took off Ryan Gauld and Andres Kubas in the 75th minute. Unfortunately, the subs did not make the impact he wanted them to. I guess Vite did have a couple chances, but none on net. Jaden Nelson and Ralph Priso, not good enough last night. And it looked like they got way too complacent with the away goal.
What happened with that buildup? I feel like there was a buildup towards that 95th minute goal that I wasn't able to see because
everybody just froze.
It looked kind of messy. Yeah,
everyone just froze.
Ball watching. Okay.
Yeah, and then Saprissa gets the late winner past Yoi Takaoka. And so the Whitecaps are technically tied on aggregate with the away goal, but this just stings. Well, it's only the first game of the season. New coach.
Coach has only been around for a month and a couple of days, right?
Some players are still getting settled in. There's also injuries. Sabi's injured for 2 to 4 weeks.
Apparently, they're talking about there's also a illness going around, so Utvik wasn't available and a few others.
Yeah, but it's better to lose a game like this now than down the line.
Yeah.
But the way it just transpired, especially after a decent start, this one hurts.
It kind of the way you described it is almost like a little bit of a capitulation almost.
Yeah, and hopefully this is an early wake-up call.
Yeah, especially because this weekend, as you talked about it, will be Portland at Providence Park, right? Yeah, Providence Park. Last time Whitecaps were there, the play-in round of the playoffs where Whitecaps won 5-0, Portland is going to want to, get their redemption back in their home park.
Yeah, and, well, This game against Saprissa, I mean, it's only first leg. In some ways, it's like it's halftime, but it just puts more pressure on the second leg, which is Thursday at BC Place.
Absolutely. They have work to do. I mean, there's no doubt about it. They have work to do. You need to get one goal at least. My hope is that they don't just stop there. You want to put a game to bed, but they have an understanding of what they're going to be facing against a team that you don't normally face. You're playing with almost not only a new identity but a new footballing culture as well, right?
Right.
You have to be prepared, and you get to do it in your building. It's your first game in your building.
At home, yeah. And last night pretty much sums up, I guess, the feeling for the Whitecaps season. Yeah, it hurts, but it's not all like, oh, this is doom and gloom. We're not making the playoffs. Oh,
there were things to be excited about. The score stings a little bit. I think a 1-1 probably would have felt more fair,
more respectable.
But, whenever is sport fair, right?
Yeah, and it goes to show that, since now we're going to talk about like previewing the season as a whole, like the Whitecaps have the pieces, but they're just a bit short in certain areas. Like there's a DP spot open.
Yeah, DP spot. We've talked about depth as well. They brought in some interesting pieces. If Sabby can get going, that'll be nice. We still have yet to see him. Oh my gosh, the Canadian they brought, 22-year-old from
Jay Nelson.
Thank you, Nelson.
Unfortunately, did not look at make an impact last night.
If he can figure out where
I know it's just his first game, but
yeah.
So
and then Rios is still going to take some time to get used to. He only just got into Vancouver earlier this week. He's going to be closer to match fit than a lot of other players because Mexico was in the middle of their season. I think they're getting ready to start the Clausura, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's not going to take him time to get match fit, but he's got to understand what Sorensen wants out of him. So that's going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah, and Rios, the Mexican striker they signed on loan with the option to purchase. He has MLS experience, which is a bonus. Last season, 7 goals in the league with
10 goals all competition.
Yeah, I was talking to Sidney Hunt of Scarves and Spikes. He was a guy that got a lot of shtick last season, mainly because he was put in a situation that's not really for him because Yokomakis left. He was the main guy, pretty much.
That's big shoes.
And
that's huge shoes.
He was all right last season with Atlanta. Also has played for Charlotte and Nashville. Just a player that never really got the game time with Chivas Guadalajara, but he gets more game time in MLS, and he's on loan once again, this time to Vancouver. And I feel like this is a player that suits Jesper Sorensen's system because there are a lot of similarities to Brian White. Not super big, not speedy, not much strength, but he is a poacher.
The other thing he has is he has height. He's 6'1", so that actually puts him on par with Veselinovic, I think, as tied for the tallest player on the Whitecaps.
I think Ranko might be a bit taller, but
I'm not too sure. Every time I stand by him, anyone below 6'4" is short to me.
Yeah, anyone below 6'4" is short to you. But so Sydney told me that like the Whitecaps had a counter-attacking system. I don't like what Vanni Sartini had last year. He wouldn't have suited it well.
Right.
But more possession-based, more pragmatic. It suits him more.
Crosses into the box. Is he better with his head? Better with his feet?
Yeah, he's very good with his head.
Okay.
It looks like.
That's good. And we know that. I mean, White, like 80% of his goals feel like they come from his head. So
this is the backup striker they needed pretty much for Brian White. Experienced guy.
This is Krylak with a foot out the door. I do wonder if Krylak ends up being
one of the
player that gets bought out come summer when they're trying to make a little bit more flexibility in the roster.
Yeah, I mean Rios was more or less what they expected last season for Krylock, but fortunately Krylock does not have the legs anymore to keep up.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have some striker depth. And 29 years old, so we got a guy in his pretty much in his prime as well, not someone who is near the end of his career.
That's very true as well, right? And I think that's also why they have the option to purchase at the end of the season, right? This is his audition, right? It's an extended paid internship.
Yeah, and a guy who knows the league.
Yeah.
So that makes things even better. So the Whitecaps season begins this weekend against the Portland Timbers in the post Evander era, who is now with FC Cincinnati. And as Nathan
It's
mentioned,
weird.
Yeah, that is just weird.
He's
To
so
actually say.
synonymous with Portland. I mean, I know he wanted out of there, but Portland and Evander, especially for the three Cascadia teams and how you recognize each team, that's who you recognize, right? It's like looking at Seattle and seeing Fry.
Yeah, still there.
Yeah, who's
After all
still
these
he's
years.
going to be there until he's 62. I don't know.
Yeah, his corpse will probably still be in goal.
Yeah,
And
when he retires, they'll just get a pylon and put his jersey on it.
yeah, but Portland, as Nathan mentioned, is going to want revenge from the 5-0 win. Both Vancouver and Portland have lost DPs since, Whitecaps losing Stuart Armstrong. Big test to start the season for Vancouver. Huge test.
Yep.
And I was talking to one of the Portland guys casually, Adam Seaman. He does the pregame radio broadcasts for Portland. And there's a lot of expectation for their new DP, Della Costa, because he has huge shoes to fill in place of Evander.
He
So there's a lot of
does.
pressure already.
And I mean, the information that I have, or just the perception that I have on him, it's more kind of conversational, like it's not really out there. But I think he was getting a lot of misdirected anger at Evander's leaving.
Yeah, and the whole situation with Evander was just crazy.
Yeah.
I talked to Adam Sussman rather. He actually does host a podcast called The Timber Review.
Mm.
And once that thread that Evander put out on Twitter, after the Whitecaps beat them 5-0, that was like the beginning of the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I almost feel like that wasn't even the beginning of the end. I feel like the beginning was maybe behind closed doors for a while. But
Yeah.
once you put that out publicly, there's no coming back, right? There's no trying to mend fences sort of thing, right? It was done.
I mean, they still have players like, Jonathan Rodriguez, Felipe Mora, the Canadians, Kamal Miller, Zach McGraw, Max Crepeau. Still a solid side without Evander, but there's a lot of question marks with that Portland side now.
Yeah, and I mean that's fair. It's is this a team that can fight for the playoffs? They were kind of in that same situation as the Whitecaps last year, right?
Yeah, they did not win a playoff game since they lost the MLS Cup in 2021.
There you go. Wow.
Yeah, but
Jeez.
yeah, Whitecaps. It'd be nice to open the season against a rival team, but in the away end. Hopefully, we get to see more of what Jesper Sorensen's controlled possession-based game looks like. And I know it's tough with the structure for the back line. That needs to be in place for as long as possible, because against Saprissa, there were cracks.
Yeah. It's something that they're going to have to get used to. I mean, you're only playing with 2 center backs rather than 3 under Vanni Sartini. Your fullbacks are still being asked to get up high. I mean, not as high as running into the byline under Vanni Sartini, but they're still getting up there. So you're leaving a little bit of a threadbare back, right?
Yeah, you saw last night, Adekube and Laborda were making crosses.
Yeah, and that's still going to happen. But people like Veselinovic, people like Blackman, they're going to have to rely on their partner a little bit more, right?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what kind of lineup Sorensen puts out.
Mm-hmm.
It could be more or less the same from last night.
I wouldn't be surprised. If anything, you might see as much as I really like what Ngando brought, he might be the odd man out just for a game this quickly.
Probably
still
VJ,
on the bench, but because I mean this is basically like his first competitive match with the Whitecaps, even though he's been with them for a year.
Oh,
we got to see little pieces here and there before, but it was off the bench, not really starting. So he might be the one that they're still waiting to kind of bleed in a little bit.
Yeah, and just hoping the Whitecaps, start their MLS campaign better than the CONCACAF Champions Cup campaign. Try to, dial in, get locked in, as the kids say.
I don't know what the kids say.
Yeah, you don't. And just try to maintain that structure. And I know, still new system, still getting used to things. And a win in Portland to start the season would be the cherry on top. Would be really nice.
Yeah, let's talk about the predictions that a lot of people are making
the season
leading into the season. We've got the MLS pundits, we've got MLS themselves, what you and I might think. And I got to say, it feels like more of the same where people don't, on paper, people don't see this as a team that's ready to compete. On average, you're looking at anywhere between 10th to 14th. The only outlier is Bradley Wright Phillips, who has them in 8th, which is actually a playoff spot.
Playoff, yeah.
Or play in, right? Kind of where they were last year. Actually, it's exactly where they were last year. But everyone else, I mean, you got to think there's only 15 teams, and look at Gianni, right? She has them finishing dead last in the West,
below San Diego,
right?
Well, yeah, but it's become yearly tradition at this point, folks.
It really has. Yeah, it's yearly tradition to go, okay, so you got it's there. So basically take the aggregate and say you'll finish 2 spots higher than that.
Yeah. And to be honest, it's not out of the realm of possibility that the Whitecaps can finish top 4. It's not crazy as it might sound because teams around them have kind of gone weaker. Like the 2 LA teams have lost a bunch of guys. So they'll definitely bulk up in the summer.
They will. Watch LA Galaxy. LA Galaxy is making moves today. They this morning alone, they got an international roster. I think they got 2 international roster spots on 2 separate deals. So something's happening with them.
RSL, I don't know how they'll move forward without after losing Arango to San Jose. And San Jose, they really cooked this offseason.
So they've bolstered. Bruce Arena is back after his, go think about what you've done moment.
Yep.
Yes, San Jose will finish better than what they did last year. Whether it's enough to be in the playoffs, I don't know yet. But the Western Conference always feels like you kind of have an idea of where 1, 2, and 3 are. And then 4th to 14th is anyone's game. And then 15th, I feel, is San Diego.
I think the Western Conference is tough to predict this year, and it's going to be tight down the wire as we've seen the past 2 years. So it's not out of the realm of the possibility the Whitecaps finish top 6, top 4. Top 4 should be the goal.
I'll say this. I would say I want the Whitecaps to break the 50-point barrier.
Yes. That's
right. That's not asking a lot. They had 47 last year. I think the year before it was like 46. Break the 50-point barrier, because those extra 3-4 points is the difference between a play-in and being in the playoffs proper, right? Like at that point, you want a 6th place finish. That's a 6th place finish.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote in my article, I predicted they'll finish 6th.
Yeah.
Which I think is reasonable, but Whitecaps, as mentioned, good team, better than people might think, but still a few pieces away.
And we're also hoping that there's no injuries.
Yeah, and
because if there's injuries, this team gets scary quickly.
Scary in a bad way.
Yes.
And a new season always brings hope, and deep down, the Whitecaps have every reason to make the playoffs. I see this team as a play-in team at least, because some people saying 14, 15 is a little ridiculous.
I think play-in has to be the minimum expectation. I mean, it's no longer good enough to make the playoffs.
No, it's right? No longer it's good not. Enough.
And I know there's a new coach, and you're going to give a little bit of leeway. It'll take time to fully understand them, but this is a long season. MLS is a long season, so you got to find ways to get to that level of cohesiveness quickly.
Top 4 in the Western Conference and getting past the first round has to be the main objectives this year.
Given top 4 would be pretty amazing. I'm not going to go that far. You said say. I'm going to say I want them to make. So I'm going to say 7th.
7th, yeah, I'll go.
Make the playoff proper. Get 50 points.
Yes, and yeah, just going on a run, having a consistent season where they're competing.
Yeah,
like we do not want to see that last year's 7-game slide ever again.
No, not at all. Especially where it wasn't even a slide where you felt that at least things were trying. Like it just looked like it was a done season.
Like the spine of the team: Gold, Kubas, Veselinovic. Yeah, I always count him.
Yeah,
because he's the vice captain, and Brian White in their primes, locked up for now. I don't think they have a better chance to win more than just the Canadian Championship than this time. So this is another all-in. We need go as far as possible type of season.
Also, this is going to be a weird season because you also have the question mark hanging over this team, right? Yeah. In terms of ownership. So, I mean, players can compartmentalize that. They can put that away. They can be on the pitch. But there's also the knowledge of we don't know what that future is. So you kind of have to play for right now, right?
Yeah.
Because more often or more than other teams out there, that question mark will hang over heads, and your fans are going to be thinking about it, right? So give them something else to think about.
It's a lot of uncertainty on and off the pitch heading into this season.
Yeah.
But a lot of questions will be answered by the end, and hopefully the answers are more positive than negative. So MLS kicks off this weekend. MLS is back. Whitecaps are back. Portland this Sunday at 1 o'clock. Good start time. Afternoon game. And then Saprissa second leg on Thursday.
Yeah.
This is CONCACAF Champions Cup MLS related, but I saw the tweet from Front Office Sports yesterday saying a referee apparently asked Lionel Messi for a jersey after officiating Inter Miami's CONCACAF Champions Cup win over Sporting Kansas City, and Messi obliged. Like, this is just unprofessional, and
it's not the first time this has happened. I've heard this happening with Messi on 1 or 2 other occasions where the referee at the end of a competitive match, has asked for his shirt. You are right. It is unprofessional. And it also, I hate to say it, but because it's a referee and a player, it starts to put in question marks on the integrity of the game.
Yeah.
And referees are humans. Referees are humans. Referees are fans, right? Just like we are. Just like
we are
and coaches. Everyone, we're fans. We love the sport because we love the sport. It doesn't matter what your job is, but you can't do this on the pitch.
And if you're an official, not a fan.
Yeah, like you have to understand what your role is at the moment. This brings up a lot of questions that shouldn't have to be brought up. And my guess, probably, like I think the referee probably did their job to the best of their ability, but they're also a fan. Like, you can be two things at the same time. But because you did it, and you did it in such a public space, you should know better. That's just it. Yeah, you should know better.
Like, this fuels the rig for Messi conspiracy theories people have. And
Yeah.
like a referee should not do this. They're not supposed to really cheer for any team in public because they have to be objective as possible. But asking for a jersey is so poor and unprofessional. Anyway, the schedule for the Northern Super League is out
Yes,
finally.
finally, right?
And we got a lot of games, including the first ever Vancouver Rise game, the first ever game the league has, April 16th, 7 p.m. at BC Place. Vancouver Rise versus the Calgary Wild.
Yeah, it's Wednesday. Take a look at the schedule. It's you're looking at games all over the place. I think I went through it. The only days I think that there are no games, at least for the Rise, are Tuesdays and Fridays.
Yeah.
Every other day is fair game.
Yeah, it looks like Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday, Sundays are the main windows. Oh, and Mondays too.
Mondays too. Yep. You got to recognize their games. I mean, besides the home opener, it's going to be at Swangard. They're also having to manage what League One BC's schedule is, because you've got the men and women's team of TSS Rovers. That's their home stadium. It's a busy place. So, you're going to have games kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is your schedule there. Season goes until middle of October before playoffs. And kind of an interesting season. Vancouver, Calgary, the two original teams of this league when the league first kicked off, they start the league. It's also their very last game too.
Yeah, which, kind of like a full circle moment.
Bookends,
and
right?
Yeah, when the summer rolls around, come out to Swangard, support local women's football. It should be interesting, should be fun, and you can watch the games on TV on CBC and TSN. So we got teams, we got coaches, now we got schedules and stadiums. So things are really cooking up for the Northern Super League, and it's beginning in 2 months.
Yeah,
less than 2 months.
As far as I know, single tickets aren't on sale yet, but different packages are. Single tickets are going to be soon. Yeah.
Yeah, season tickets deposits have pretty much come in, and looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Sticking with women's football, we finally got to see the first women's national team with Casey Stoney leading.
I didn't watch much of this, but 1-1 draw against China in the Pinatar Cup in Spain. Stoney's first game in charge. You can see, from what I've seen, she was really implementing her possession-based system. Nice to see Julia Grosso score off the counter, and then China tied it up in the second half, rather. But overall, you can see that they're still trying to get used to Stoney's system. Stoney's still trying to implement her ideas. And
it's a match that you would have the expectation of winning. A little bit of a
shame they couldn't
get the start
that
you're hoping for, but again, like we were talking about with Sorensen and the Whitecaps, it is your first game. So, and national teams are always a little bit more difficult because you don't get as much time together.
That's just it. Yeah. And it's just, the first game, lots to be encouraged with, but it left you wanting more, but more will definitely come because Canada's also playing Mexico, the second Pinatar Cup game.
Yeah.
Leave this weekend or sometime next week.
Wednesday, Saturday. I got to take a look, but that's in my brain anyway.
Yeah, but good to see Grosso score because last season she didn't really have regular minutes. A good ball from Gabrielle Carl, though, to that goal. Interesting also, it was a 4-2-2-2 formation Stoney played, but fullbacks inverted.
Oh, really? That seems like a lot of congestion in the middle.
Yeah, you could see like the midfield were really trying to clog the areas where China could dictate play.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand a 4-2-2-2 if you're playing with very wide fullbacks, right? And they take those channels because they're the space is available. Inverted is interesting.
Yeah. So this should be hopefully the beginning of. Oh yeah, the Mexico game's actually tomorrow, 10 o'clock our time,
Yeah, there you go.
and then on Tuesday it's Taiwan, Chinese Taipei as they're listed.
As they're listed when it comes to international sports. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Uh,
lots
yeah,
of time for Stoney to implement her ideas and the players to get used to her system.
absolutely. Not to be outdone, men have added a couple of more matches to their calendars. September window, Wales and Romania.
Yep, these are the opponents we want to see them play.
Yeah. We
Teams
talked
that
about having teams kind of in that 30 to 40 FIFA ranking range. I have to look it up. I'm not too sure where they are, but I mean, I know Wales is going to be in that for sure.
yeah, that game's gonna be in Swansea.
In Swansea. There you go.
Yeah. And the Romanian game, I believe, will be in Bucharest in September. So September 9th is the game against Wales. Yep, in Swansea. And just also looking that the exact date for the Romania game, September 5th.
There you go. Yeah, currently right now, based on rankings, Wales is 29th in the world. Romania is 38th. So you're right. These are the teams we want to be playing.
Yeah. Shame there's no game at home yet. But, it's hard for schedules and stadiums and all that. But more importantly, the Nations League, CONCACAF Nations League semifinals, less than a month from now. Canada, Mexico in LA at SoFi Stadium.
Absolutely.
So
also should mention right now, Canada is ranked 31st. So we're actually ranked higher than Romania.
Yep. Which is really nice to see. And hopefully by the end of this year, 2 trophies in the bag for Canada.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? All right.
Nice? Oh, dear. Same old. Oh. Back to the AMX. Same result as the FA Cup fixture, except no goals. 3-0 loss to Brighton Hove Albion. Kaoru Matoma scores against Chelsea again. This is a guy when I play FIFA for Chelsea, I always sign.
Yeah.
And he scores again. This is one of the goals of the season, by the way. Van Bruggen hoofs it up the pitch. Beautiful touch from Matoma. Just beautiful ball control. Like he's Nagi from Blue Lock. And then he just gets around Chalobah and beats Philip Jorgensen. Just beautiful, well-taken goal, but Chalobah and the Chelsea defense fell asleep. And then they both fell asleep on both Minte goals, especially Levi Colwell, who spent more time complaining about fouls than actually defending. Just poor mentality. And the attack, what attack? Not even Cole Palmer had a good game. Very lifeless. Though he did have that one chance early in the first half, but he skied it over the bar. He's just been poor past few months. Christopher Nkunku was a striker again. Didn't do anything. Jadon Sancho was pocketed by Tariq Lamptey. Whereas at least Nani Madueke tried to drive through the goal, like he always does, but no end product. Very frustrating. And Pedro Neto off the bench did not help. Oh, and yeah, by the way, Madueke's out for the next 4 games with a hamstring problem. So that makes things even worse. And yeah, as I said last week, this goes to show how important Nicholas Jackson is to the attack. Yes, he misses chances, but he creates them. Because if he was playing this game, there would be more chances created. Because his strength is the build-up, his hold-up play. But if only he could finish. Otherwise, Chelsea would be higher up the table. Probably still in the top 4 race. Now they're in 6th. And just very poor all around. And I'm not really going to talk much about that game because that was just so terrible. More terrible briefings. So Maresca comes out and says, target to make Champions League is in 2 years' time, not next year. Which contradicts from what he said months ago and from what the sporting director said in a rare interview last September. So which is it?
It's football. You just move the goalposts to claim the match.
Yeah, they keep moving the goalposts and changing their targets. So basically, there is no plan. It's the no plan. And let's not forget the fact that Chelsea didn't make top four is the reason why they mutually parted ways with Maurizio Pochettino last summer.
Yeah.
And so that goes to show Maresca's just a puppet for the sporting directors, and the sporting directors are just a puppet for Bedotic Bali. So there is no plan, and things are just getting worse right now. This is more than just a slump. This is a crisis. So John Obi Mikel on his podcast called out Chelsea owners by saying Chelsea is all about winning and trophies. And he said, if you bought Chelsea for profit, you can F off.
If you bought Chelsea for profit, take lessons from Tottenham.
Yeah. And then Joe Cole, after the Brighton game for BT Sport, since he's a pundit there, he said, yeah, they cannot follow the Brighton model, and they cannot just rely on data and signing young players without surrounding experienced players for them to grow. Because Joe Cole, he came into Chelsea as a guy in his early 20s. But look who he had around him.
Yeah.
Didier Drogba, Frank Lampard, and John Terry, the spine of the team. Other than Cole Palmer, and I guess Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo, who, by the way, was probably the best Chelsea player on the pitch last Saturday, there is no spine right now. And
I've been calling Chelsea spineless for years, so.
Yeah, but it's true now. It's way more than true now. And the sporting directors, Paul Winstanley and Lauren Stewart, as I said before, got a goal because they had a 4-window plan, did not sign a striker, goalkeeper, or competent center back. There's no leaders on this team. They're setting Enzo Maresca up to fail, who, by the way, Joe Cole said, and Gary Neville said this should not be on Maresca at all, because they're giving him breadcrumbs to work with. The Maresca has faults of his own. And this team is going nowhere with the plan, or if there is one, other than signing players under 25 thanks to data. There's really is no direction with Chelsea. And this falls on the majority shareholder, Bedotic Bali, Clear Lake Capital, and the rest of his finance bros. As I said, treating Chelsea like a stock exchange.
Yeah.
And fans are not happy for good reason, and a protest is planned outside Stamford Bridge. Saw Tottenham fans protest.
Last game, absolutely. Yeah.
Chelsea fans are going to do the same outside Stamford Bridge on February 25th before the game against Southampton. Because this is not Chelsea. Chelsea are not Leipzig. They are not Monaco. They are not Brighton. They are not an investment firm. This is a football club that has been centered around winning. And Roman Abramovich's winning culture, the culture he brought in, is gone. And speaking of Abramovich, a report from Daily Mail has resurfaced back in 2022. Hansborg Wyss, one of the owners, apparently he's part of this consortium because he hates Abramovich. And we barely seen him.
That's a good reason. That's a great reason.
And Todd Bowley is set to speak, I believe, this week or next week at some conference in LA. And of course, Chelsea will be discussed. And his relationship with Bedotic Bali and the others. He'll probably answer those questions. So a lot of Clear Lake out, Blue Coal out on Chelsea Twitter. Like the protests, I believe there are going to be hundreds of people. Hundreds of unhappy fans. Like, hey, at least the women's team is top of their league, signing all these big names. Why can't the Chelsea men's team be run the same way? And it's just so terrible to see that in 3 years, the ownership has turned Chelsea from champions of the world to a worse Brighton and Hove Albion. And as for Maresca, my opinion is that he should not be sacked no matter what at the end of the season for stability. But if, by the grace of God, the sporting directors come out and the new sporting director comes in and wants Maresca out, fine.
Right.
But it looks like Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart are going anywhere because the Athletic reports Bedard, Bali, and Clear Lake have backed them. Hooray! More kids to sign. Woohoo! And it's just so bad to see that they're like, oh, everything's fine. Let's move the goalposts. Oh, top 4? Nah, we'll do that in 20 years. It's a long-term project. Let's sign more kids. And the point of the protest is, no, Clear Lake won't sell. Foley won't sell. Maybe the sporting directors won't lose their jobs. It's just to get the message of, we're not happy. We're not happy with the direction we're going in. Let's at least change the model.
Yeah.
No more youth players. Sign top players. Say what you want about Abramovich and Marina Granovskaya, but they always sign the big names. Many of them failed, but there was ambition. And I would much rather take the later Roman Abramovich era years than this.
You just got to get Bully to have some yachts that he can launder through.
Well, they tried laundering with the hotels.
Oh, yeah, right.
And, Boley still with Vivid Seats. And
right, Vivid. You talked about that last time.
Yeah, and Bedard Bali apparently dropping 50 million quid on a flat in London, which I read somewhere. So, wake up, either change the model. I know it's impossible, or sell, and just get at least, the sporting directors. No top 4, no conference, no top 4 this season. Gone. It should be as simple. So, protest planned on Tuesday, and Chelsea, speaking of trophies, still in the Conference League, have drawn Copenhagen.
Okay.
Yep. A decent side, so can't take them lightly. And should also mention that Maresca's system, I don't understand why he's playing such a high line nowadays. He's going full Postecoglou with his stubbornness, refusing to adapt and change the 4-3-3, the inverted fullbacks. Things that worked earlier aren't working. And why not focus on the fast transitions that worked in the fall? So that's Chelsea. Aston Villa away tomorrow in Villa Park. And then Southampton on Tuesday. But the main event on Tuesday will be the protest. So at least Tottenham won a game, but it was a mid-off with those guys from Manchester United.
But it was a good game.
Yeah,
it was a really entertaining game. We got to finally get a few players back. Odebert back since October, I believe, with his hamstring injury. James Maddison, which we'll talk about. Udogie, I think, was back. We got a few players that are starting to get there. But it was a very strange game in terms of what Manchester United brought. You ever take a look at Manchester United's bench? They had Lindelof and teenagers. And every single one of those teenagers had never played a game for the senior team.
Yep, because they have a ton of injuries.
They do have a ton of, you know what? Postecoglou was talking about that, and he was saying there's not a lot of empathy between managers and whatnot. And I do, right? Like Amarin has my empathy. He had to deal with this for one game. Now deal with it for 3 to 4 months, right?
Yeah.
And then you got Spurs, right? 1-0 win. So here's a few things to consider. That is their first home win in the Premier League in 105 days.
It's been that long.
It's been that long.
Since
it's their
September?
First back-to-back wins since September.
Yeah, I was right, September.
And it's the first time that they've had home and away wins over Manchester United in a season in 35 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And because of also with the Cups, they've actually beaten Manchester United 3 times this year because of Cup competition as well. Madison back in alert, pulling the strings from that central position. Scores in the 13th minute, gives Roy Keane a little shut up moment. For those who didn't catch it, Roy Keane was chirping before the game, saying Madison went down, with the team that he was with before. He'll go down with Spurs. He's not the guy you want. Madison comes out, scores. Says, I don't need to say anything. My talking will be on the pitch. So it was a nice moment to do that, because I think anytime you can tell Roy Keane to shut up is probably a good moment.
Yeah, massive W for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Keane is one of those guys that, good player, not necessarily good human.
Same with Sinnes. It's always those two.
Right? Yeah. Watching Mattis Tell, what a lively player. Quit, not in his vocabulary. He is someone that I've only seen now with 3 games, and he got a goal in the previous one. But I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Very lively player.
Very lively.
Very shifty.
Tough to get a grasp on. Yeah, very shifty is a good word for it. I'm excited to see more. He brings something that's going to be very, very interesting to watch. I feel like this is, and I hate to say it because I've loved watching him for so many years, I feel like this might be the beginning of the end of Sun. I think
yes, there's rumors.
There are rumors in the summer that he could be leaving.
On his way out.
We'll have to wait and see. Right now, like we said, Tell is loan with an option to purchase, but it does feel like this could be that. Jed Spence brought into Spurs during the Conte brief moment. Conte says right from the very beginning, literally the first day Spence is there, I don't want this player.
That's Conte for you.
Right? So, he ends up, on loan with Genoa, on loan in Italy also for a little bit of time, kind of like on the periphery. Spence also had a bit of an attitude issue at the beginning, comes back this season, new attitude, new ethic. I'm here to stay. I'm here to fight for my position. Best player on the pitch again. He is starting to win these men of the match performances from his position. He's doing it from right back, left back, doesn't matter. It is becoming increasingly difficult to keep his name off of a game sheet. And
good for him.
I love it. I'm very happy that he has found his way. I'm very happy that it seems like he has realized what he needs to do to make himself integral to this squad. And the thing is once you get players like Udogie back, Pedro Porro and what he's done, Archie Gray fighting for his role, there's going to be competition in these spots, and I'm very happy for it. Vicario, first game back as well for him, clean sheet. He was made to work for it. There was a few moments that he had to pull out some pretty good extended saves. And again, I got to say, I don't understand what Amarin was doing in this match. Not only did he have kids on the bench, you're down 1-0 and you don't make your first sub until the 90th minute.
That's crazy.
His first sub was at the 90th minute. And I'm sorry,
which was absolutely insane.
I feel like he has already given up. I feel like he has already decided I made a terrible mistake coming here.
Yep.
And
he's aged like 10 years in the last 3 months.
Yeah. And you're already starting to see the conversations with Manchester United of who's the next manager.
Though I find that silly because this is not Amarim's team.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's not Amarin's team, but I will say Amarin is not doing himself any favors.
He is not. He's like Maresca and Postecoglou, not adapting.
Right. Yeah. So it's a weird situation for there. Very happy that Spurs gave a good performance on top of their win, because this was something that was sorely, sorely needed. So up next for them tomorrow is Ipswich Town. again, it's a game you should be winning. But if I remember right, earlier in the season, they didn't. So
trap game.
And then in Europa League, they will be facing now AZ Alkmaar.
Oh, yeah.
So that's who they got drawn against. And I'm trying to remember. This is where I want to say former Whitecaps, former Spurs player
I
Troy
think I might.
Barrett
Yeah,
him. To, and he is now a full-on player.
Yeah, him.
With Alkmaar. So we do have a bit of a Tottenham connection there as well.
Yeah. So
again, match they should be winning, but don't count out Alkmaar.
Yeah.
Again, Ipswich, a match they should be winning.
Don't count out Ipswich.
We've seen that happen before. We've seen that story before, right?
Yeah, and this is Tottenham we're talking about.
And I should say this does put Spurs now up to 12th in the league, I believe. I'm just going to pull up the table. Yeah, in 12th, it's a 3-way tie for 12th. We'll talk about Everton later on. They're part of that tie, but holy cow, under Moyes, we'll talk about that. Like I said, like the way this season is going, I just want them to finish in top 10. There's still 7 points out of that. It's going to be tough, but that's what I want. I want more, but that's what I'll settle for.
Yeah. So speaking of Everton, 13 points out of 15 games since David Moyes replaced Sean Dyche.
13 points out of a total of 15 points.
Sorry. Yeah. They did get a pretty well-deserved win against Crystal Palace with Alcaraz scoring the winner in the 80th minute. Just looked more structured and more fluid. They also included a big Derby Day draw against Liverpool in the final Merseyside derby at Goodison Park.
And there was some that was a punchy game.
That was a classic.
Slot red card said something to the referee. He has since apologized, which, to his credit. And then more than a few things. Van Dijk, I get Van Dijk as a tall player because this used to happen to me when I played hockey all the time, where it doesn't matter. You go for a body check because you're a foot taller than everyone else. Your elbow's in their head, and you end up getting all these penalties for elbows. But Van Dijk's got to keep his elbows down.
Yeah.
He did the same thing against Tottenham. He put an elbow right into the jaw of Richarlison. I get it. It happens when you're tall, right? You just happen like you tuck your arms in because everyone else is hanging out lower than you. It happens, but I feel like he's not doing himself any favors either.
No, but back to Everton. Just look a rejuvenated, revitalized side. Players look like they're on the same page under David Moyes. Everton playing Manchester United tomorrow.
Yep.
And United fans are saying, just take the 3 points. That's what I read this morning.
Not only that, but they're going to be in their brand new building here now.
Yeah.
Is that going to be for this game, or is that coming up? Because there's already been a match there.
Yeah, it's like a youth. It was a youth.
Something like that.
And what was funny is that the player who scored the first goal is a Liverpool fan.
Yeah, I know. That went over well.
Yeah, the Everton Stadium won't be used by Everton until next year.
It isn't? Okay.
Yeah. So just Everton, like props to David Moyes for vitalizing that squad. Pickford looks more comfortable in goal. Doucouré looks good. Ashley Young, in some ways, is turning back the years. And they're scoring goals too. Yeah. Which they really struggled to do under Sean Dyche. So Everton currently 14th in the Premier League table. I know you and I talked about for years that they might be going down. Looks like
David Moyes and Everton. It's a pairing that makes sense. It made sense back when he was there before, and then he went on his bit of a walkabout, Manchester down to Spain and
West Ham.
West Ham. He's home. He's
home. He's
where he belongs. And I rescind everything I said about Everton going down now that David Moyes is there. Yep. They're not going to wow everyone, but they're going to be stable.
Yeah. give some hope to the Toffees.
Absolutely. And that's been sorely needed since Ancelotti left.
Yep. So former president of Spanish football, Luis Rubiales, who was guilty for kissing the captain of the Spanish women's team after the World Cup in 2023, has finally been found guilty of, sexual assault for that.
Yeah. As far as I know, I think it's only a fine he's getting, but
which is no surprise.
Given, this has been a long time coming. Like it's been, someone was doing a count. It was like over 500 days this took.
Yeah, it took them long enough.
Yeah.
Right? But unfortunately, all we get is a fine.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I can't see. Well, I mean, he's not going to be involved in. Well, I say he's not going to be involved in Spanish football again. Who knows? We'll see.
Hopefully, never.
Yeah.
Also, 49ers Enterprises are apparently set to bind Glasgow Rangers in Scotland.
So, 49ers Enterprises. I mean, we know them on this side for the teams they own here. Back in 2018, they actually started moving across the pond with Leeds. Yep. Bought a 15% stake in Leeds back then. In 2021, they actually increased that. They own 44% of the club, but they're now looking north with the possibility of Glasgow Rangers.
Yeah, it looks like they're looking to acquire more than a 50% stake.
Yeah.
While taking on the debt. So 49ers Enterprises, if you know North American sports, yes. Owners of San Francisco 49ers.
This is also a big ownership group. Like 49ers Enterprises is valued at around 6 billion American, yep. Right? Like the cash infusion, the desire to really, really compete with Celtic. This could be a big shot in the arm for Rangers if 49ers Enterprises actually cares about what they're buying.
Yeah.
Right? And that's always going to be a big question mark when you're buying a team halfway around the world.
That's right. And the BBC is reporting that it's expected to be completed between April and June. And Rangers have posted a net loss of £17.2 million in October 2024, despite what they call record revenue and income figures from June 2024.
Right.
So the chairman of the force behind 49ers Enterprises and is also the Leeds United chairman, BBC is reporting that he is front and center with the negotiations. And the Dave King, the biggest individual shareholder in Rangers, is very supportive of this takeover. So it looks like things are moving in the right direction for this.
It'd be interesting. Let's talk about some Champions League.
Man City. Kylian Mbappe, like for those who said he was finished, he's not finished.
No.
He cooked Man City by himself. A hat trick. And he reminded people that he is one of the best players in the whole wide world. And the City had no answers for him, no defensive structure. Like they barely had the ball in Real Madrid's box, and it was just a Real Madrid domination and Kylian Mbappe domination. Though City did get that late goal, but it meant nothing.
Both games were City had no answer, right? Like it just that tifo in the first match has aged poorly.
Yeah, and especially that Liam Gallagher on Twitter is saying, "Oh, Real Madrid were lucky in both legs."
Oh my God! Yeah,
stop crying your heart out, Liam.
Stick to fighting with your brother.
I mean, they're on good terms now, hopefully.
Yeah. Alphonso Davies, Alistair Johnson, Battle of Canada.
This was a tight game.
Yeah.
Both Canadians did well in this game. Of course, Davies scored the winner. Like, he took inspiration from hockey from just going to the net.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it, right? It doesn't have to look pretty. It just has to cross the line. And this one did, basically, kind of like a buzzer beater.
Yeah, and then Johnston, props to him and Celtic for staying in the game.
Yes.
But Johnston was defending for his life.
Yeah.
throughout this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And then let's end it on this note, because this one is kind of it's more of the same of if you can't laugh, you cry. Real Madrid president, in his long-going feud against La Liga's president, has said that the club is exploring leaving La Liga and joining a different league because of the hardship and turmoil and the being attacked by referees, and I don't know, who knows, maybe they fought at the bike racks in grade 3.
Very ironic considering, Perez thinks everyone hates Real Madrid. The refs hate Real Madrid. And even though Bellingham pretty much swore at the referee.
Yeah, right. And got upheld. So he's now banned for, I think, a further 2 matches.
Yeah.
First off, Real Madrid is Oasis to me. I recognize how good they are.
Yep.
I don't care about them.
Well, yeah.
Right? I don't care about them because they just come across as horrible.
Snobby, whiny.
Yeah, Real Madrid bugs me. Like, they're one of those teams where it's like, you could be so good on your own right. But you don't need to be what you are. You don't need to do all the other things.
Yeah.
You just don't need to, right?
I respect
do your talking
talent, but the constant whining, complaining, kind of like Oasis, throws people off.
Yeah, and that's just it. Like, I just, I almost want them to leave a league, and they've talked about either Ligue 1, Serie A, or Bundesliga. First off, why would any of those leagues
want you? And look, imagine the away days to that.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Well, I mean, yes. I mean, there's a little bit of the idea of like, we're getting a big club and, all their fans, but you want to keep your competitions in your country, your domestic competitions. You have European competitions for everything else.
Yeah.
You don't want, say, the German Bundesliga being held by a team in Spain. Like, there's that's going to be a big sting to your pride. On top of that, like, you don't get to just walk in. Like, it's the whole idea is like, fine, you want to join? Sure. You can start in the 5th division, right?
Yeah. And you don't just get to whine about wanting to leave the league after a pretty justifiable red card.
I don't.
And by the way, the La Liga title race is tight between Barca, Real Madrid, and Atletico Madrid.
Yeah. There's so much about Real Madrid. And I mean, a lot of what bugs me about Real Madrid goes to their president and nothing else. Like I can't remember what his name is now. Perez? The guy who wants to head the European.
Yeah, Florentino Perez and his weird ideas.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, they bug me. They bug me in ways they shouldn't.
They annoy me. Well, unlike Oasis, which I actually finally got the appeal of, and I actually love them now. I am sick of Real Madrid's constant complaining.
Yeah, and constantly, like, it's just getting worse as time goes on.
Yep. So, just focus on the pitch, on the title race.
Just play the game.
Yeah, and at least Kylian Mbappe is giving the fans something to cheer about.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that concludes this week's episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Tell us what we're doing right. Tell us what we're doing wrong. Twitter, Joshua00, Nathan and Durek. Podcast at Terminal City FC. Check out the Instagram and YouTube channels as well. So we're going full throttle with Whitecaps season now underway.
Yep.
So as you know, more coverage, more for articles and this podcast. Also check it out on Blue Sky as well if you're not on Twitter anymore. And hope your feedback and your constructive criticism is always welcome. Give us a rating and all that. So talk to y'all next week. That concludes this week's episode. Peace out.
Take care.